Ooh, all right. Let's see who's going to join us. Let's see how long we are able to do this for before YouTube decides to kick us out. Ooh, spirits of. Ooh, I've already forgotten the track. Let's do. Let's do my favorite. Both these tracks are my favorite. Let me not make that mistake. Ooh, Spirit of God is upon me. Ooh, Spirit of God is upon me. Ooh, Spirit of God is upon me. Ooh, Spirit of God. We're gonna give it 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. See who's going to join us. And okay, let's see what's going on here. Just a few minutes to see who's joining us. I'm so excited for today's topic, and we're gonna catch up a little bit also about what happened the last time. We did that live, and then you know we ended up getting cut because YouTube kicked us out, and yeah. So, but we are back. We are back. Let's do this. Just confirm with me if you can hear me clearly. Let me know if there are any issues with the audio. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, very interesting. Spirit of God is. Just let me know if you can hear me clearly. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Okay, so we're gonna start now in a few minutes, in a few seconds time. All right, just all right. Let's go now. Let's start now. So I haven't had any confirmation with regards to whether you can hear me clearly or not. So I'm just gonna start because there's not too much to go through. But yeah, let's just you know do this. Happy Friday evening. I just thought, you know what, let's just hang out on this wonderful Friday evening. Why not? Why not? There was one or two things that the guides had placed in my heart to share with you, and just for us to hang out, right? Just for us to hang out. I saw my lipstick was sort of like, staining my tooth there. Um, Let me just see if this light setting is actually. This looks romantic, doesn't it? Yeah, okay, let's go for this one. I like this one. So, what happened the other day? I think it was 2 days ago. I tried to do the final segment of the three segments that I was doing with regards to narcissism in politics, particularly the woke liberal side of things. And yeah, unfortunately, I ended up having to, not do the third part. I've recorded it, so in good time I will upload it. But today we're going to be focusing on something different. It's one of those things that you know what happens when you start talking about such kind of topics that we are talking about here. So, yeah, today we're going to focus on narcissists as monitoring spirits. All right. So, of course, we know that narcissists are definitely monitoring spirits. Hello to you from Zambia. Welcome, welcome. So you're welcome to also just, share your comments, your take with regards to the monitoring nature of narcissists, if you have experienced anything to this effect. I know that many people who have come across this whole phenomenon of narcissism have experienced this thing that I'm talking about, just knowing that you are being monitored. You know, there are so many things that tend to happen around the narcissism experience that are absolutely supernatural. You're not always able to prove it, but you know it. You know that such things are supernatural. For example, the narcissist often knows a lot of things that you are doing, even if they were not present when you are doing those things. They often know how you feel, before you even tell them. And, we can all easily say, but, we are all sensitive. We can all know what the other person is feeling. But with a narcissist, you'll know that it goes beyond that. There's just a whole lot of supernatural activities that surround the narcissism experience. And we would be remiss to overlook that, to just assume that um, it's just a random occurrence of events, because that's not really what it is. Narcissists are multidimensional beings. They are supernatural beings. Narcissists are not your ordinary, typical, everyday human being. All right. Here you are dealing with either someone who is possessed, or you are dealing with someone who is a physical manifestation of a demon themselves, or you are dealing with just a multidimensional being that you might not know. Perhaps this is a fallen angel. The Bible speaks of the watchers who, of course, they lost their heavenly position and or their divine position, and this was because, of course, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They were tempted, right, to get into an unholy relationship with the people that they were supposed to be overseeing. So that's what happened with the watchers. And those fallen angels, the Bible doesn't really say they have all, been cast to wherever and they are all there. Based on our everyday experience here, I really do believe that many of us have reason to believe, and good enough reason to believe, that some of these beings that are actually roaming the earth are fallen angels. And it's interesting because, this name watchers that is ascribed to, this category of angels also speaks to monitoring, isn't it? So this means that they've always been um, they've always been higher beings that were meant to exercise some kind of oversight with regards to humanity. And for some strange reason, of course, that whole situation has been turned upside down, and now monitoring is being done on us as human beings, but not necessarily for wholesome reasons. I really do believe that there are still good guys, there are still good angels that are also monitoring, that are exercising oversight over the whole thing. But there's this other group that we are talking about today that's doing this thing. And it's really interesting. So narcissists are not just human, just to, go over that again. They are multidimensional beings, they are beings from different dimensions, different realms, different aspects of reality. They are not just beings that your everyday human being is used to. And perhaps there are a whole lot of, people in positions of power that know and understand precisely what this thing is with regards to narcissism. But let's face it, they're not going to tell us, because there's still this whole UFO thing that is still being painted as a mystery, and there's still this whole old technology that is still being painted as a mystery. So if dark forces were in charge of humanity at this point in time, what benefit would it be to them to disclose all these things to the rest of us? If you know a narcissist, you know very well that there's no way that they would want you to have any form of advantage over them. I mean, even if a narcissist knows that they have won, they are never settled. They always want to make sure that, they oppress you 10 times more than how they have already oppressed you. All right. So we're dealing with demons here. We're dealing with angels. We're dealing with fallen angels. I mean, we're dealing with supernatural beings. We've heard stories about reptilian, beings, and so on and so forth. These are supposedly aliens. I will say these are multidimensional beings, and perhaps extraterrestrial. Perhaps these are beings that are occupying other parts of the earth that we may not be aware of. Because let's face it, it's not like we've all traveled around the earth and we know every single thing that exists on this planet. But the point is that these are not natural. This is not your natural, normal, everyday human being. And so this monitoring aspect is not, it's not your typical monitoring where someone is perhaps you know, curious or obsessed with someone, and then what they're doing is they keep asking someone else about what's happening with that person. Narcissists do this, of course, we know they do, but it goes beyond that. You understand? So this monitoring is, yeah, it's very intense. So of course, um there's this gang stalking issue with regards to narcissism as well. So, and when it comes to gang stalking, I really believe that there you are also still dealing with a multidimensional level of surveillance or surveillance. All right. And why I'm saying that is because, it's interesting that these are things that, you know, um, the powers that be of this earth like to do those kind of things, isn't it? And usually these powers that be are not always out for the best interests of humanity. They like to exercise surveillance. And then you also have your everyday narcissist down the road who also likes to exercise surveillance. And well, we all know that situation where you've been in a relationship with a narcissist and you know how controlling they are, and you know how that they definitely also wants to exercise some form of surveillance over you. I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to that that are in relationships with narcissists, and or have been in relationship with narcissists, and those narcissists made sure that there's a tracking device on the car. They make sure that your phone and your conversations are tracked. So this is a monitoring spirit. You understand? So this is a manifestation of a monitoring spirit. But what is a monitoring spirit? Is a spirit that has been assigned to watch over your life. It's a spirit that has been assigned to make sure that it understands every nit and gritty details with regards to your life. And then it reports that information back to the dark overlords of this plane of existence, or its masters. So that's what this monitoring spirit is. And then what is um, what is the purpose of this monitoring? The purpose of this monitoring is to make sure that those who have the potential to wake up don't get to wake up. That's the purpose of the monitoring. The second reason for monitoring is to make sure that those that are here to spread the light, to shine the light, to raise the vibrational frequency for humanity and for the planet, they don't get to do that. So what this monitoring spirit does is that it, comes in, it investigates, it makes sure that it understands understand what level you are at with regards to your consciousness. And then what it does is that it makes sure that together with its overload, they put the necessary types of obstacles along your path to make sure that you don't get to do what it is that you are here to do. How many of you ended up in a relationship with a narcissist, and because of that relationship with a narcissist, your life has, just been turned upside down? How many of you have been in that situation? You were on one path. Chances are you were not 100% perfect. It wasn't like it was a smooth sail for you, but it's nothing. You were actually on a very good trajectory in comparison to the direction that your life took as soon as you entered into that relationship with a narcissist. It's literally as if the purpose of that narcissist is to make sure that things, don't go the direction that they're supposed to be going with regards to your life. You are out of alignment with your divine purpose, on this planet. And whatever good thing that is meant to be happening in your life does not happen. It's as if this spirit is meant to make sure that your vibrational frequency remains as low as possible. So it's one thing for us to assume that, oh no, a narcissist is just someone who has a personality disorder. All right, they just have a personality disorder, and it's a mental health issue, and that's the end of it. But if you are someone that has experienced this thing firsthand, you know that there are way too many things about that experience that do not necessarily 100% agree with that being just a mental health disorder, some kind of just a psychological abuse that you went through, just an emotional abuse that you went through, and that's the end of it. That it goes beyond that. And another interesting thing with regards to this whole monitoring aspect of things is that whatever it is that has happened with one narcissist, let's say you are in a relationship with a narcissist now, and that relationship ends because of course it's toxic, and then you move along with your life. Let's say this narcissist was busy cheating on you, and then you've made up your mind and you've decided, you know what, I'm no longer going to enter into relationships with people who cheat on me. And then you close that door, and then you do some healing work on yourself. The next narcissist that you're going to deal with is not going to be a narcissist that cheats. The next narcissist that you're going to deal with is going to be a narcissist that literally presents as a very kind, we can call it the covert narcissist, presents as a very kind person, perhaps very cerebral, someone who somehow perhaps is very nerdy, someone who's very withdrawn, someone who seems to be family oriented, or just gentle, and but basically not a cheater. Someone who is committed and exclusive with regards to the approach to the relationship. We all know that narcissists, they all cheat. So, but some of them don't necessarily go ahead and do, but you're particularly the cerebral ones. They don't always, do that cheating where they are literally going out and cheating with that person, sleeping with that person. What they will do, they will flirt. They will, in their mind, have these fantasies about other women. They might even treat other women nicer than you, or treat other men nicer than you. They might even have a porn addiction. They might, so they'll have some weird sexual perversion about them, but you'll find that they're not cheating, they're not actually going out there and, just being unfaithful to you within the relationship. So there are those type of narcissists, and many a times they are typically a cerebral narcissist. So this is a nerdy type of a narcissist, and many a times they're also very covert as well. So, but how did this narcissist, how did it just so happen? How did that coincidence happen that now you are dealing with a nerdy narcissist who doesn't cheat, quote unquote? Now that you've made up your mind and you didn't really tell anyone that you're not going to, be dealing with cheating men anymore. how did, you know, the whole, who do we even call it? How did the powers that be know? How did life know? How did that narcissist know that you have signed off with regards to cheating men? How did they know that the next best thing to give you is going to be someone who doesn't cheat? They're not going to cheat, but they're still going to be narcissistic towards you. They're still going to abuse you. They're still going to wreak havoc in your life. They're still going to do all those horrible things that the cheating person did. The only thing is that now it's more difficult for you to pinpoint the errors in the relationship. Why? How is that happening? Monitoring. So when the relationship with one narcissist ends, they go and report. It's almost literally as if, at a spiritual level, there are these invisible offices that these people literally go into, and they get a brief to say, okay, fine, here, this is your case study, this is your subject, all right? And then this person, these are, the issues that they have, this is what they have overcome, these are the things that they still have to deal with. And then they say, okay, fine, this is why you would be the best person for this particular position. So be make sure that you don't do this and that. Be careful with this and this and that, because that's going to raise alarms for this person. Yes, of course, narcissists have your typical everyday red flags that we all know about, but majority of the time, people don't know about the red flags that they should be looking out for when narcissists are concerned. And sometimes people don't even know the spiritual nature of the situation. And because of that, whenever it is that a new relationship prospect comes along, all that they're seeing is literally just, someone new. And they're not even, thinking about the possibility that there could be a war happening in the background between light and death. All right. So, uh, did I say light and death? I wanted to say light and darkness. So as I drink water, let me just pause there and see if you guys have any comments, any questions that you want to ask. Hello to you, David M. Mutale. Very true, madam. Oh, thank you. Yes. Let's hear your comments. Let's hear your take. All right. So that's basically, how this situation seems to be operating. All right. It's literally, I really do believe that that's what happens, from a spiritual perspective. I do believe that there's some kind of a briefing that takes place. And all of this is because of the monitoring aspect of the narcissist. So the narcissist themselves are a monitoring spirit. Whatever it is that they are always plugged into that stream of consciousness, which is of the Antichrist essence. All right. So that's my take on it. That they are always it. So basically, there are two streams, as I mentioned just before I took my water break. We've got two streams of consciousness, of course, that we know about. So this is the Christ stream of consciousness, and this is the Antichrist stream of consciousness that are at work in this world that we are living in. And so these two streams of consciousness, of course, they are in opposition to each other. So the Antichrist stream of consciousness has its own, belief system. It's like literally two different races. So each race is replete with its own thing. And unfortunately, at this present point in time, where we are as humanity, we are still dealing with, we are at the most darkest, point with regards to our journey on the planet. And so this level of darkness means that those that are in power, both at a spiritual and at a physical level, are demonic to the most part. They are possessed, they are used, they are serving a dark agenda. And so, with that being the case, we have this situation where it's almost as if there's, an imbalance that we are still dealing with. And of course, life and nature is, always working towards um, re-establishing that harmony, that balance that has been set off or that has been disturbed. So there was something that I was saying there, and I seem to have lost my train of thought with it. But I'll just say that, so now this dark force that is in charge, or that has been in charge of humanity for as long as it has been, it's, of course, it knows that sooner or later its time will come to an end, and that time is now. And so, with that being the case, it's constantly, very anxious, constantly edgy, constantly trying to make sure that it keeps its position secure. And so, what it has done is that it has used all these spiritual tools that it has always had access to make sure that it keeps humanity trapped in a particular frequency state whereby humanity is not able to move past its control. So that's the whole purpose of this monitoring. All right. And so many people that find themselves in narcissistic relationships and they're not even aware are light workers, star seeds, empaths. These are people with very powerful spiritual gifts, very powerful spiritual calling. And other people don't see it, they don't understand it, it makes no sense to them, it just does not add up. All right. But you that's in that experience, you know that there is the so the narcissist is is that foot soldier of that dark stream of consciousness. So of course they're everywhere. You have your narcissist down the road, and then all the way to top positions of power. Narcissists are there. But the aim of the everyday narcissist, or the narcissist that is in your life, is to make sure that you do not disturb the dark order. That's the purpose of the narcissist, to keep you in a low enough vibration so that you don't shine that light and disturb whatever it is that this dark order has established, which is chaos, of course. So the dark order does not want peace to come through, does not want harmony to come through, does not want joy, love, you know, prosperity, mutual benefit. The dark order does not want us to turn this earth into something that is wonderful, as scripture would say, or as the prayer would say, you know your kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven. The dark order does not want that to happen. All right. So the purpose of this monitoring is to make sure that that does not happen. So as I said, going back to that point once again, every narcissist that is in your life, whether it's your friend, whether it's a relative, a blood relative, whether it's a colleague, it's a boss, it's an associate, or it's just someone that you meet every now and then, their purpose is to make sure. So at a surface level, we don't see all these things that we are talking about here. But at a spiritual level, from a spiritual perspective, everyone can see, or whoever it is that needs to see these things is able to see. They know you when you are a light worker. So whether you are running away from your gift or not, whether you are in denial of your gift or not, whether you are not aware of it or not, they know you, they see you, because on your own, you are a high vibrational frequency. You understand? On your own, like naturally, you if you are a star seed, if you're an empath, a chosen one, a light worker, all of these things, that means you are a high vibrational frequency. Before you are a high vibrational frequency being, you on your own are a high vibrational frequency. And so naturally, when they come up, when you and the narcissist um, interact, or what's the word, you come across each other, when that happens, naturally the narcissist alarms goes off. And as soon as that alarm goes off, that signals to the overlords of the dark matrix. And when that signal occurs, they immediately, of course, do their oversight, through the narcissist, they're able to see you. So depending on who that narcissist is, so if this is a high-ranking narcissist from a a demonic spiritual perspective, then automatically they know what it is that needs to happen. They know that they need to trick you. They know that they need to do whatever it is that they need to do to lower your vibrational frequency. But if this is just, you're a normal person who is just a low vibrational entity, maybe this is a non-player character, your soulless being, because there are a whole lot of them as well. And the reason why we have so many soulless beings right now in this planet, or in this current juncture, is precisely so that this monitoring can take place. So if you are dealing with such type of an entity and non-player character, then already those overlords are able to see you through them, and they're able to bring up your file, because believe me, they have your file, and they can see what it is that you have done, because to them you are an offender. What crimes have you committed against them? And some of these crimes have to do with how often is it that you are rattling the feathers, the cages, and everything? How often it is that you are raising this vibrational frequency? How many times are you trying to help people? So you have no idea the amount of crimes that you have committed in this world. So every time you help someone, you are committing a crime from the upside down narcissistic dark matrix perspective. All right. So every time you help someone, you are an offender. You are offending the dark forces, and that's on record. Just like with the higher powers, the forces of light, God, source, and the higher being, the higher angelic beings, they record that, so they know that you are doing something good. This is amazing, this is great, and it's part of your purpose in life, and so on and so forth. However, when it comes to the dark forces of light, they're doing the same thing as well. So it's like you have these two streams of consciousness, isn't it? So one of this one, so these are the two streams of consciousness. One is facing this direction, and the other one is facing that direction. It's like you have these two triangles. It's like that. So when you move up with regards to your ascension, you are causing, the forces of darkness. You are creating an equal and opposite form of energy movement to take place also in the dark matrix. And so every time you take a step towards progression, true progression, of authentic progression, not that other one, that not that wokeism one, right? So when you do that, then what happens is that because of this, what every time this happens, you know, the downward movement and the loss of power and the loss of force, energy with regards to the opposing forces of life. Every time that occurs, that rings an alarm to the overlords, the dark overlords, and then they record it as a crime on your part. It's an offense, and they're gonna come at you. They're gonna make sure that you pay. All right, and so this is why it's so important to have psychic protection. If you are someone that has found themselves in a relationship with a narcissist, and you've dealt with a lot of narcissists, and you keep dealing with a lot of narcissists, because let's face it, they are everywhere. They will say, oh no, it's only 1%. No, there it's not 1%. And if any of you are part of my soul group, here on the channel, you know that even with some of the videos that we've exchanged in the past, some of you have commented, and I always agree with you when you say that, because I think I might have said, I believe that 1 out of 5 people are narcissists, and some of you came back and said, no, not one out of 5, 1 out of 3 people are narcissists. Or some, who knows, it could even be 1.5, because remember, you have fallen angels, you have like normal human beings who are absolutely possessed, because remember, the vibrational frequency has been lowered so terribly. The earth has been terraformed, and you still also have this thing of um like the levels of trauma that humanity has dealt with. So all of that has created a lot of human beings to just be sitting ducks for dark forces to use them for whatever purpose. Most human beings are so unconscious that they rarely, their vibrational frequency rarely goes, above a certain level. It's almost always at a very, very low, level. And for that reason, anytime the dark forces of life wants to just use them, I mean, let's face it, even those of us who are starseed light workers and all of that, it's still a mission, to keep your vibrational frequency high, isn't it? So you have, normal human beings who are possessed. You also have this non-player characters who are just literally here for no other reason other than to just be hosts for these demonic forces. So you've got many, there are many, types of beings here on this planet whose sole purpose really is to be serving this dark agenda. And so to say that it's only 1%, well, I suppose that's a figure that, the powers that be are comfortable with, because once again, we are living in a world of gaslight. Because remember, the forces that are in charge to a large extent are the dark forces. We're talking about the material world, and of course, to a certain extent, with regards to the lower astral plane, spiritual side of things. We, the world is under the control of dark forces. It's the dark matrix, it's this world. You understand? So it's not the organic, real, true world, but it's a world that has been fabricated and created, orchestrated by dark forces. So these dark forces, they 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 definitely want to keep everything as low as possible with regards to the vibrational frequency. All right. So I hope I've covered all the points that I wanted to cover with regards to that. Gang stalking. So, as I was saying, this gang stalking is a multi-dimensional thing. All right. And I've covered that. So you have it on a physical level, you have it on a personal relationship level, and you also have it at a state level and at a world, world power level. So as many people would often say, we are living in a surveillance state, and that's not a lie. It's true. That's what's happening. Um, so this is all, a war between light and darkness. All right. This is a war between light and darkness. So this is God's world, absolutely. This is the creator's world. And the creator is one with nature. And the creator, of course, exists beyond nature. And sooner or later, the creator is going to take back, well, the creator has never lost the earth. There are times when the creator will just allow things to be, because what has been revealed to me with regards to this whole situation with narcissism is that, and with the fallen angels and the advantage that they seem to be having over humanity, is that God is allowing it to be, because for now, at this level where we are, they are serving the purpose of initiation for humanity. All right. So they are triggering the ascension. We all know that, many of us would not have known anything about ascension if it wasn't for narcissistic experience. The supernatural nature of your narcissistic experience is one that will definitely encourage you to awake, to wake up, to come out of the fog, to come out of your slumber, and to begin to ask questions that you wouldn't have ordinarily asked. So, this is the purpose that this phase that we are in is serving. Is it wonderful? Absolutely not. Is it great? Absolutely not. Many of us, if we knew the kind of journey that we are going to walk into, we wouldn't have chosen to be here. But we chose to be here because we wanted to be part of something great, as painful as it is. We chose to be here because we believed that we were up for the challenge, we were up to it, we had what it takes, and we trusted that the invisible forces of life, God source life, and the angelic forces and all the higher beings, that are assisting humanity. We trusted that they would assist us, they would carry us through all the way up until we make this thing happen. So, as I was saying with regards to that this whole thing, um, so now once you commit that offense of moving up the ladder, because remember, every time you ascend, you are not ascending alone, because we are all interconnected from a spiritual perspective. So every time you ascend, you are also bringing others with you. You are changing the environment in the same way that a narcissist terraforms the environment. The narcissist changes the environment. The narcissist conditions the environment to be of a low vibrational frequency so that he or she can exist there. The narcissist needs this. They need a low vibrational frequency space. That's why they will sow discord, they will spread gossip, they will do all sorts of horrible things. They need the environment to be that way so that it can support their nature. In the same way, you too, as a high vibrational frequency being, by virtue of your existence, you are changing that environment as well. So that's that war between light and darkness. So you are raising the vibrational frequency of your environment. The narcissist is lowering the vibrational frequency of that environment. And let's face it, light is always greater than darkness. Light always overpowers darkness. And the thing about light is that light doesn't need to do much. You know, babies, if you want to know the power of light, look at a child. Like the Bible will often say that God uses the simple things to confound those who consider themselves to be wise. So a baby is one of the most powerful vibrational entities. Well, let's not even say entity, let's say a being, because entity sounds like I'm talking about entities, the ones that you need to always remove, and I'm not talking about those. So a baby is a high vibrational being. It's one of the most highest vibrational beings that you'll ever come across. Like, because the essence, the presence of God is just oozing through this angelic little creature here, right? This beautiful, beautiful divine being. And the baby doesn't need to do anything, hey? Like, literally, that baby doesn't even know how to change its own nappy. You understand? Like, that baby doesn't know how to feed itself, but that's God right there. You understand? The vibrational frequency of that space where that baby is so high, it's not even funny. And it's so high that it makes the dark forces of life around that space to be uncomfortable. And this is why babies are often targeted by dark forces. And this is why there needs to be so much care and protection from a spiritual perspective and even from a physical perspective around babies. You understand? It's because their very presence does that. So now, if you're a star seed, if you're a light worker, you carry a similar energy. So, under normal circumstances, ordinarily human beings outgrow that godly phase, that godliness. There's that high vibrational frequency aspect about them. They out by the time the child is like 7 years old, that thing is gone. And the child has now either conformed to whatever, and there's been a whole lot of distortions and so forth. But with a star seed, that never goes away. That remains in you. The essence of God remains in you, and we call it empathy. It's the mark of God in a human being. It's the mark of Christ in a human being. Empathy. And so this empathy is what narcissistic spirits identify in you. They can see you as an empath because, you know, similarly to a narcissist is someone that really has very little to no personality. You understand? Because they are like a hollowed up being. So to the most part, they are available to this stream, this dark stream of consciousness. And for this dark stream to can do whatever it is that it wants or needs to do with them at any given point in time. That's why today the narcissist can be green, tomorrow the narcissist can be yellow, because they need to serve whatever purpose that this dark force needs to get fulfilled. So slightly similar, yet to a higher, to a high vibrational frequency degree. You as an empath, you have something similar to that. You don't have much of a so-called, I don't want to call it ego, because then there are two different types of egos, and sometimes they get conflated. But it's like that. It's almost like you don't have an ego, or you don't have a personality. You're not perfect, you know. You're not perfect. You're not all whatever. You are still working through things, but you also don't have a set out or a very rigid form of personality, right? You are sort of like open to the higher forces to use you. So this empathy is what opens you up. So if it wasn't for the empathy, you would be open to be serving the dark forces. You would be open. So you almost, it's like you're also an empty shell in a way, in the Christian setting, many people would say something like, use me, Lord, let not me, but you, Christ. It is no longer I who lives, but you, Christ in me. You do these things in me. You do this work in me, Christ. You understand? So it's emptying yourself. It's you having emptied yourself in some shape or form, and availing yourself for the higher forces to use you. And what enables that to happen is the empathy. You understand? So you don't have that rigid structure with regards to your personality, whereby you are not open to hearing from the higher forces of life. So the same thing with a narcissist, but in an opposite direction. you know so the narcissist has no empathy, but they are also open to be used, to be, to serve. But then the question is, who is it that they are serving? They are a vessel for the dark forces of life, whereas you as an empath are a vessel for the higher forces of life. You understand? So empathy is the mark of Christ in a human being. It's that high vibrational frequency. And so when you go out there, the narcissists are able to identify you like that. And if, for whatever reason, they perhaps have been, looking for you for the offenses that you have committed that have to do with raising the vibrational frequency of, yourself and the environment around you. Then, they open the files, and then they decide that they're going to be tackling you in this particular way. So this is what happened in that previous relationship, right? So now going forward, you're going to try this particular trick, because that old trick may not necessarily work this time around. Okay, so this is how they operate. So I wanted to also, so this is why you are being monitored. You are a threat to the dark forces of life. You understand? You are a serious threat to the dark forces of life. You are such a threat that alone, to the most part, the dark forces of life often need to at least have about 10. Usually you are dealing with a minimum 5 to a whole, lot of dark human beings. Some of them are just normal, unconscious human beings, but set up against you. You understand? For no reason, they will find, issues, excuses, whatever reasons that they want to, conjure up with regards to why it is that they want to attack you. You understand? So alone, they need to gang up. You understand? They need to do the gang stalking, because they somehow don't see themselves, even if there's two of them, they don't, or alone, they will never ever feel strong enough to confront you. They need to gang up, and they will never ever approach you in a transparent way to say, what, I have an issue with you. You are the light and I'm the darkness, and you are making life difficult for me. This is my territory. Move away from my territory. They will always do this in an underhanded way. You want to ask yourself, why is it that the narcissist needs to operate in an underhanded way? Why is it that the narcissist needs to be sneaky, needs to manipulate things, needs to, turn reality upside down? It's because they will never ever be able to stand in front of the light. They will never ever be able to, they do not have the wherewithal to face the light of day. So they need to, do have this covert operations where they are constantly monitoring you. And so, as I said, you have your everyday narcissist who is likely part of some kind of a, witchcraft coven and coven. They are part of some kind of a witchcraft, black magician coven. And then there's also the, demonic forces that you you and I may never ever, know about, but we know they are there. You have that. They are all practicing surveillance. They are all practicing monitoring. And then you also have, as I mentioned, at a state level, you have, you know, human institutions that are set up, organizations, corporations that have been set up to collect information with regards to you. And every offense, this is why many people are afraid to do good things. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that in this world it's a crime to be happy? Have you noticed that? How many of you have tried to be happy, have been, doing wonderful things for yourself, and they will say, if the law of attraction says you have to feel good, because as long as you are feeling this way, things will happen to you exactly that way. How many of you know that the more you to raise the vibrational frequency, the more you get the attacks? Because it's a crime to be happy in an upside down world. That's an offense. When you are happy, there you go. Derek, darkness cannot be found when exposed to the day, except under that which it hides. There you go. I agree with you. I agree. So, happiness is a crime in this world. Charity, authentic charity, not that other charity, that one where people are just collecting money for selfish reasons, under the pretense of charity. But we're talking about good works. It's a crime. Asserting your dignity in this world is a crime. Practicing and asserting your sovereignty in this world, it's a crime. It's an offense. It's a spiritual offense to the dark forces and rulers and principalities that run a dark paradigm. You are being monitored. And then, so every time you do those things, you wonder why it is that you are dealing with attacks. I've witnessed many people who have died, many people who have been attacked, all because they were doing good works. And all of a sudden, there's a scandal that comes, with regards to them. All of a sudden, they're being slandered in some shape or form. All of a sudden, all this evidence is being fabricated. And sometimes that evidence, to a certain extent, has elements of truth to it. But then you would find that that person might have been trapped or manipulated into even ending up in that particular position. Because the narcissist, just like your typical persecutor, needs to, constantly be pointing out all the things that you have done wrong. They are constantly accusing you in the spirit realm of whatever it is that is supposed to be a crime against God. But in true reality, your true crime, your only crime, is being a high vibrational frequency being, or in fact, you being a high vibrational frequency. You just need to exist, dear empath. That's all you need to do. You just need to exist. That's your crime, because you are a high vibrational frequency. You can't help it. You love too much. You are too good. You are too kind. You are too interested in, the well-being of humanity. You are being monitored for that reason. The narcissist is a monitoring spirit. As long as the narcissist is in your life, that narcissist is this, camera thingamabobs, right? Like this camera, what do they call it? Camera, instrument, or you know what I'm talking about. That's what they are. Every time the narcissist is looking at you, there are other forces that are looking through you. Of course, there are other kinds of monitoring entities. There are animals that are being used for monitoring purposes. There are many things that are being used for monitoring purposes. But today we are focusing on that element where the narcissist um, themselves are the monitoring spirit. So they are literally the eyes of the dark forces of life. They are the eyes of this dark stream of consciousness. You understand? To check on you, to make sure that every time you have conversations, they keep that conversation. Every time you tell them, you know, I had a dream that, God was bringing about ascension in the world, then the narcissist will start looking at you as if you are crazy. Like, what ascension? Why would you do that? You know, that's the aim. That's the purpose. That's the role that the narcissist is meant to play in your life. The role that they are meant to play is to make sure that your conversation is always there. You can only talk about soccer, you can only talk about football, you can only talk about the low vibrational frequency of politics, that part. You can only talk about the everyday surface level stuff, the fashion. You can talk about what happened at work or whatever, but you are not going to talk about the deep stuff. The narcissist is not interested in that because uh, that's too bad for their vibrational frequency. The minute you talk about anything that raises the vibrational frequency, that's destructive to them. So their purpose is to keep you there. And many a times you'd see that even when you are happy, the narcissist is often, very frustrated by you when you are happy. When you are doing well, the narcissist is often very frustrated by that. They might give you that evil eye during those times. Why are they doing that? You are hurting them with your high vibrational frequency, you know? Let's see what you're saying there, Derek. Okay, so in 3 minutes' time, we're going to be done. I'm going to check to see if I've said everything. In all respect and all love to you, if you search for true enlightenment, continue to search for Jesus. You may be surprised in what you'll experience if you earnestly seek Him. I've already found Jesus Christ, Derek. I've already found Jesus Christ. Okay. But thank you so much. Thank you for that. I know who Jesus Christ is. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Okay. I might not, be your type of Christian that you are used to, but I'm a Christian mystic. I'm a conscious mystic. So, um, that's how Jesus Christ has manifested himself to me, has revealed himself to me. All right. Um, so let me just quickly talk about what's happening now and then I'll be closing. All right. So, you know, where we are right now, this juncture that we are at that point where, we have reached the culmination of everything that has been happening all along with regards to, this darkness, this dark phase that humanity has been going through. And with that being the case, the light of Christ is shining very brightly, on the planet, in the planet, through the planet, and through humanity. And that's why more and more star seeds, light workers, empaths, lovers and seekers and lovers of truth are being born in the planet. More and more of them are coming through. I see many of them are children. I feel so bad for them because many of them are born in narcissistic families. And it's really it's sad. It's sad because um, the process of remembering who you are, why it is that you came here, it can be a little bit daunting. But these people, these star seeds, these empaths are coming into this planet because it's that time for the light to shine as brightly as possible and for the darkness to be dissolved. This is where we are right now. And of course, the first thing that the light does when it comes through is that it just begins to expose, right? naturally, and this is another thing that you are doing as an empath that frustrates the narcissist by virtue of your existence. As long as you are around, the narcissist cannot do the things that they are usually used to doing without getting caught, without those things going wrong somewhere, somehow. This is one of the offenses that you are committing as an empath. All right. So every time you are, as long as you exist there, the narcissist is not able to do the things that they are used to doing because the vibrational frequency is not as conducive as it usually is without your presence. All right. So the light is shining bright, exposure is taking place. Many of these dark forces are really being exposed, and because they're being exposed, people are doing what they ought to be doing, which is praying. People are praying, people are raising the vibrational frequency, people are aligning themselves, people are doing things are basically making the environment less conducive for dark forces. Many of us remember very well how excited we were a few years ago by certain, political figures because they sounded charismatic and everything was amazing about them. And we didn't know that, we're dealing with people of a dark vibrational frequency, of a low vibrational frequency. And then, the light of Christ just continued to beam itself on the planet and through humanity and, through nature. And all of a sudden, we all woke up and we realized that we actually don't support and we don't, these people that have been presenting themselves as messengers of truth, as messengers of light, as the saviors of humanity, are actually not what they present themselves to be. But remember, I'm still asking you that as much as we are seeing all those people that are not great human beings in positions of power, I want to remind you that there are people that are still good people, even in those positions. I know it's hard to believe, but in the same way, many of you, and I know because I deal with many people, within this particular, space, the spiritual space, and many people were just ordinary human beings going, down the road, doing whatever it is that other human beings do. And majority of the time, some of them were not necessarily doing the right things. I know I haven't always been someone who lived a perfect life, you understand. And then you wake up one day and then you realize, oh my word, this path, this trajectory that I'm on is not necessarily a positive trajectory. Let me now, you get your Paul at Damascus moment, right? And then you begin to realize, okay, now I need to really serve God for good. I need to really do good things in this world. You understand? And then, of course, the devil starts coming after you. But the same thing is happening even with those people in power, even with celebrities, everyone. It's happening on the ground and it's happening up there on top as well. So let's not dismiss everyone on top as this is all an evil person. All of them are all evil because they're all on top there. Some of them are also going through their own spiritual awakening. Some of them have gone through their spiritual awakening. Some of them have always been here to serve a particular purpose. And it's important for us to identify who they are. And how we're going to know? The Bible says you will know them by the fruits that they bear. What is it that these people do? You can't expect, them to turn the whole world into a paradise, because half the time you're expecting one person to turn the whole world into paradise. But see what they do. See what is it that they bring. Just like with a relationship, is this person consistent with what they said? They promised to, they are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are they doing it? Do I really understand what this person is saying every time that they communicate with me? You know, do they stand for the same kind of values that I believe in? Or are you dealing with someone who is taking you in some other kind of a direction that you don't even know where you are? And narcissists will do that. You know, when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, many a times you feel like no one can understand our relationship. We are the only ones that can understand our relationship. Our relationship is so unique. And what you're not realizing is that that relationship is actually out of touch with reality. And what you're also not realizing is that you are having to exert a whole lot of energy to fight for that relationship, to fight for the existence of that relationship with that narcissist. And meanwhile, it's not serving you in any way. It's not, you are deteriorating and disintegrating within that. So in the same way that, you want to look at all the red flags that you look at when you are looking for, and that you look for when you want to determine whether you are dealing with a narcissist or not. Apply those, points across the board. Look at red flags. If you are dealing with wet salad, you know who dishes wet salad. You know. If you are dealing with someone who cannot be held accountable, someone who does not want to be held to account, you are not dealing with someone who's safe. So in the same way that you vet a relationship potential, a relationship perspective, vet everyone else. Don't just decide that everyone is evil and everyone is this and everyone is that. You have your checklist of things to look for to identify whether or not you are dealing with a narcissist. Apply it across the board. Apply it for a relationship, apply it for a friendship, apply it, pardon me, apply it when you are trying to get a job, apply it when you're trying to elect a political leader, apply it across the board. Apply it when you're choosing a spiritual guru, a spiritual teacher, a church, everywhere. Apply it when you're trying to find, a social group, people that you want to be friends with, people that you want to hang out with. Apply it there, apply it everywhere. Don't just, apply it in, one area of your life, which is romantic relationships. All right. Then it becomes easier to see what it is that you are dealing with. Because if you don't have your narcissistic, red flag checking filters on, then it's easy for other people to deceive you. You might, be protected from narcissists with regards to relationships, but how do you know that you are still protected from narcissists with regards to other areas of your life? Right. So we are at that point right now where they are being exposed. And of course, as long as they are being exposed, the energy that is at work in them is dissolving. And this is why, we are also going through that whole situation where some people even end up no longer choosing to be here. We're talking about the narcissistic side. We know that even good people are, letting go. They are just removing themselves from the planet. But here we're talking about even the narcissistic side as well. Some of them, they are just choosing to let go because, they are no longer able to do what they are used to doing because the environment is no longer conducive. So we will see a lot of that. So there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of dark systems that will collapse. But I'm still pleading with you to say, just because we all want dark systems to collapse doesn't mean we should also wish for the collapse of government. Because if government collapses, that means that the dark forces will have free reign, and that might be something that they try to ravage humanity just before they completely get dissolved by the light. So let's not allow things to just completely fall apart. Let's pray that God puts the right people in place when it comes to governments, and let's also let's pray that He shows us those people that we need to support, those people whom we need to pray for. Let's pray that we get, that discernment to do that, to play our part here, and then do what needs. But government is necessary. Government is a godly thing, so we don't need to let that go. But this is the good news. This is really good. This cycle is coming to an end. The dark forces of life are losing the battle. All right. The light of God is shining bright. And so gradually, whatever it is that they're trying to bring to pass, it's not going to happen. Okay. It's going to be a little bit chaotic before it all completely, collapses. But whatever it is that they're trying to bring onto the planet, that tyranny, the level of tyranny that they're trying to bring, the tyranny that we've seen in other countries, the tyranny that we've seen here in social media, the tyranny that that we've even witnessed in our own personal life, it's coming to an end. You understand? But before it ends, there's going to be a little bit of a pushback that we're going to be dealing with in the next 4 years. But, that whole oppressive regime that they want to bring to pass, it's not going to happen. And why is it not going to happen? Because you, soul tribe, you, the empath, the chosen one, the star seed, the light worker, you are playing your part. You are here together with Christ, Christ in you, doing this work through you, through the planet, through every high vibrational frequency being. This thing is coming to an end. This tyranny is coming to an end. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel Kairos. Kairos. Hello to you. Hey, cutie. All right. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission, Soul Tribe, Soul Family. On a wonderful Friday evening. It was really, really nice to just, um, share all about monitoring spirits with you. Until next time, remember, consciousness is the new frontier. Namaste.